Bolivia was my sixth country in South America. I took a 3-day tour that brought me from the Atacama Desert in Chile to Bolivia. The Bolivian border is literally a wooden shack in the middle of snow-filled mountains, and at 4,480 meters, is one of the highest border crossings in the world. Welcome to the Bolivian Altiplano. Over the next 2 days, I visited a handful of lakes. Let's see if I can remember them all. Laguna Blanca, Laguna Verde, Laguna Colorada, Laguna Honda, Laguna Endionda, and Laguna Negra. What's really cool is that I got to walk on one of them, and the red lake has a perfect reflection of the volcano. If you look closely, you can see flamingos in it. I also had a chance to walk up close to a geyser, see the grey boiling pools and smell the fumes, just like rotten eggs. We arrived at the Uyuni Salt Flats on the second evening, just in time for sunset. That night, I stayed at a salt hostel where the walls, the floors and the beds are all made of salt. And in the morning, we drove miles and miles at the world-famous Uyuni Salt Flats and took the iconic perspective shots. Oh, and I brought a Singapore flag and planted it there. Before the tour ended, I checked out the train cemetery over there and climbed around like James Bond. It was a great start to Bolivia. From Uyuni, I took a bus to Potosi, one of the highest major cities in the world at 4,090 meters. Potosi houses Cerro Rico, which was once the largest silver mine in the world, and I signed up for a mine tour. I don't have much footage of it, but I got to see the dynamite blowing up, I see the devil that the miners pray to, and learn about the dire working conditions of these miners. It was tough being inside for just 2 hours. I can't imagine what the miners have to go through being inside for 10 to 12 hours a day. I felt humbled leaving the tour. Sucre is often considered the most beautiful city in Bolivia, with its many whitewashed colonial buildings. I stayed here for 10 days, learning Spanish at a school, meeting some locals, and had a haircut after 5 months of travel. It's the worst haircut I had in my life, LOL. The El Fuerte ruins near the town of Samaipata is an interesting set of ruins because it was influenced by 3 different cultures across the centuries. The pre-Inca Chane people at around 200 to 800 BC, the Inca people in the 14th century, and the Spanish during the colonial period. A mishmash of different styles giving it UNESCO status. Nearby, there is a set of small waterfalls that the locals come to cool off on the weekends. Look at my ugly hair. I went to the city of Santa Cruz de la Sierra just for this photo. This spot claims to be the geographical center of the continent, and it's also the halfway point of my 1-year trip in South America. I then spent a couple of days at Cochabamba, a non-touristy city. I heard there's a statue of Christ here, just like the one in Rio de Janeiro, so I headed up towards it. It's not as majestic, but still impressive. Finally, I headed to La Paz, the highest administrative capital in the world at 3,500 meters above sea level. I like La Paz, but unfortunately lost all my clips. I remember visiting the witch market, took a cable car to the neighboring El Alto, and watched a Cholita wrestling match. Cholitas are the indigenous women in Bolivia wearing traditional clothing, and a Cholita wrestling match just sounded incredulous and a must-watch. I also took a day trip to visit the Tiwanaku ruins, another pre-Columbian archaeological site nearby. the highlight is cycling along the Death Road, known to be the most dangerous road in the world once. It was exhilarating and not as dangerous as it sounds. From La Paz, I went through Isla del Sol, a town on Lake Titicaca, which is shared between Bolivia and Peru, to make my way to my favorite country, Peru.